Hello again, everyone. I'm Tom Dirato, and welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. 8th-ranked Oklahoma State viewed live from both sides of the fence this past week as the Cowboys split a pair of grueling Big 12 road games. And we'll have all the highlights from Norman and Austin. And despite having a 6-game winning streak snapped, OSU is still very much alive in that frantic race for a conference title. But another difficult week lies ahead for the Cowboys, who have now won 20 or more games in 8 of 10 seasons under Eddie Sutton. And this week we begin the first of a two-part one-on-one conversation with OSU's All-American and Wooden Award candidate Desmond Mason. You'll see a side of Mace that has been lost in all the points, rebounds, and headlines. So you stay with us. We're back after this opening timeout.
Montonati has not been to the line. Oh, what a friendly bounce. But remember, if he makes this one, it's just a 3-point game, and the Sooners have plenty of time. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Nahara, time running out. Nahara steps back. That's no good. And the Cowboys have stolen one in Norman.
Happy for the team, but in particular the seniors. That's a game you can remember for a long time, because they're a very good basketball team, and with all the hype that's been this week, you know, that's a big win for you. We made a little hard on ourselves there late, but you hung on and really competed, and that's the biggest thing. And I think everybody that represents Oklahoma State, all the fans, the student body, they should appreciate your effort. I would hope some of the people will be there to greet you when you get back this afternoon.
This is the way it used to be. We share this with all the students, with all of our fans. And again, thanks for coming out.
Well, welcome back to the show. Hey, that's the way it used to be back in the old days.
You know, in those early years, back in the early 90s, when we had those outstanding ball clubs, when we'd come back from a road trip, even when we'd land out at the airport, there were always fans, and then they kind of have grown away from that. But, gosh, it was very nice that our student body and a lot of our fans, Dr. Halligan and his wife Ann, came out to greet us, and the players really appreciated it. But it was a big win over the Sooners. They've got a very good basketball team, and we probably played the 40 minutes against Kansas and the first 20 minutes against Oklahoma as well as we can play this year. Got in foul trouble, had to hang on in the second half.
But again, an inspired effort, the start of a 4 games in 5 on the road stretch, and what a way to have to start it down there and catch an Oklahoma team who is probably playing as well as it's played all year.
I think this is the best Oklahoma team that we've faced in the 10 years I've been at Oklahoma State. They've got a chance to go a long ways in the NCAA tournament. They're just very sound in all areas, defensively, offensively, and it took a great effort on our part, but we played so well in that first 20-minute period, and not only played well, we shot the ball well. Nice play by Fredrik.
You know, you talk about it all the time. It's one of the first, or one of the last, I should say, things that you tell the squad before they take the court on a road game. Get out on top of the home team and create some doubt in their minds. We did it here. We didn't, as you see later on, down at Austin, but that was a big thing here.
Plus, you take the crowd out of the game.
Right.
You know, their crowd was really hyped up, and we went out early and got ahead of them and really put them back in their chairs. And then in the second half, when they made the run, well, it was a little different. That's Heskett hitting a three-pointer. He's one of the outstanding three-point shooters we have in the league.
Well, the way they shoot threes now, they're never out of a game. And there's a guy who could shoot threes right there.
Yeah, he can play horse with anybody in the Big 12.
You think you could have beat him back in your heyday?
I don't know. That was Glennon Alexander, and he really has been on fire in the game here. We got him good looks. Everybody's starting to dog him, really put the heat on him, and down at Texas, it was even more difficult.
You know, up until the Texas game, as a team, we've been pretty hot from the arc, and of course that goes back to what you've said 100 times. When you're shooting it well, it kind of makes up from some other things along the way.
Well, that was the thing in our game down at Texas. In some areas we played well, but we shot the ball so poorly. that it just magnified some of the shortcomings that we had in the game.
Nobody in their right mind would have ever thought that at one point, with about 3 minutes to go in the first half, that we would be enjoying a 20-point lead over Oklahoma.
41-21. No, it's we were playing, like I said, about as well as you can possibly play, and at both ends. Defensively, we were great, and not like our offensive execution was good. Joe Adkins really played a whale of a game, and also Fredrik Jonzen played outstanding. Nice steal by Doug Gottlieb. We got in foul trouble with Brian and Desmond both having to go to the bench, and I thought Joe and Fredrik really stepped up, and so did our other players.
This was kind of an extension, if you will, of the way we played against Kansas a couple of nights earlier. I mean, we took that momentum from the Kansas game right to Norman.
Well, like I said, the way we played against Kansas in the first 20 minutes against Oklahoma, you could play with anybody in college basketball. I mean, it was just a perfect game.
It's a tough call right there.
That guy right there is a warrior.
Well, he can play, and he never quits.
There's not a coach in college basketball wouldn't like to have Eduardo Nahara. He's an outstanding basketball player.
Fred's picked up the pace on the boards. No question you see Alexander, the beneficiary of Fred's rebound right there, but Fred's been able to get us some work done on the glass the last 3 or 4 outings.
Well, Fredrik in that ball game with the Sooners had 14 points and 13 rebounds, and down at Texas he had 10 rebounds.
It's got to make you feel good about what's happening there on the boards, and we'll talk about the Texas game a little bit later when we see the highlights. But as you see, we're running up on the tail end of that first half, and the Cowboys in control. A couple of times I looked over at you, you walked by, and you're just shaking your head in disbelief.
Well, if someone had said you're going to be up 20 points at one time on the Sooners in the first half and still have a 14-point lead at halftime, I said, I don't know, I'm not going to believe that. And then this is one of the things in the 40 years I've coached, I've never seen a star player get 3 fouls in less than 30 seconds.
How about any player get 3 fouls in less than a minute?
Did.
I mean, in your career, I asked you that on a radio show. I mean, that's a rarity in itself.
Well, he probably, I can't comment on officiating, but
neither can I, so we need to let it go, probably. You got Brian.
They took advantage of that. They really tried to post up Nahara down low. There's Joe hitting a long tray, and he's talking to the official. He thought he got fouled on that play.
Well, he certainly was looking up from the floor as the ball went through the hole. But there's the grit and the courage and the competitiveness that you talked about after the game.
I thought when our 2 star players, or 2 of our star players, went to the bench, Brian and Desmond, that the guys really competed. I mean, you know, Oklahoma had a big advantage. The crowd got back in the game, but player after player made good plays that allowed us to hang on and win the game. And we put Desmond back in, I think, with about 6 or 7 minutes to go, and there he was hitting a little turnaround jump shot. And they came back, and there's a great follow shot by Nahara. We didn't block off on a missed shot, but they hit a couple of big trays that allowed them to have a chance to tie the ball game, and there's a big tray by Desmond Mason.
Seemingly every bucket that each team hit in the last 4 or 5 minutes was crucial.
Well, there's a big one right there.
Just never could put them away. Every time you thought we had it salted away, they came right back.
And the other thing we were able to do down the stretch is hit free throws. We isolated Joe here on what we call 1-4 flat, and he hit a big shot to put us up 5, and yet here they come back again.
Joe wanted the shot, though. What did he tell you in that timeout?
Well, there was about 10 seconds to go, and we called timeout, and, you know, we were debating. This is a controversial play right here.
Well, there's 5 seconds and the turnover.
That play has been turned into the supervisor officials because that was a missed call on the part of the official.
For his viewing.
Yes, the supervisor officials look at him, and Rick Barnes even had seen the game, and he called the supervisor officials.
2 misses there. Fred now has a chance to widen the gap a little bit.
But free throws we didn't hit down at Texas A&M, and it cost us a ball game. In most of the games, we have been able to convert, and of course, late in the game, it's like a turnover or anything else when a mistake is made, a missed free throw. It's just magnified because you don't have the time to recover from it. But what's this free throw?
Parts in your throat right there. You knew it was in old time.
Yeah. But Brian's a good free throw shooter. I think he's hitting right at 75%.
Here comes the last couple of seconds.
A lot of people, this is Nahara. We defended very well, but even if he'd hit that shot, he had his foot on the line, so it was a two-pointer, but I'm sure that we would have had to go to the monitor to take a look, because I'm sure that the people from Oklahoma would have thought it was good.
Second time in the last 3 tries in Norman, the Cowboys have come away with a victory. 10 of the last 15 overall in the series. The Cowboys have won with Oklahoma. And I know if you were asked once, you were asked 1,000 times, can they get up? Can they get to that level again when you go to Texas? And your opinion was they couldn't. And really, we played well enough. That was not a problem.
Well, I think the problem is Texas.
Yeah.
Texas was the team that was picked to win the Big 12 Conference in preseason. The biggest crowd of the year down in almost a packed house. I think they realized in order for them to stay in the league race, well, they had to win this ball game. And the first half, it was just back and forth, and they were able to get to halftime, I think, with a 2-point lead on a last shot by Wagner that hit a tray on us. We were up 1. There's Mim, their great center, hitting a turnaround jump shot. And it was really the M&M boys that did us in there in the second half, Mim and Montonati. And there's Montonati, the great job of double teaming. Doug goes out of control, and Clay hits a shot.
You know, you mentioned we didn't shoot it as well, and that's obvious from the arc. And he
Stepped
might have
out
been
of
a bit
bounds
out
in
of
that
bounds,
play right there. Yeah,
right there?
He did, and the official missed it.
But as you look at the way the game developed, even with all the quote-unquote shooting woes, and that we weren't able to kind of wheel and deal the way we wanted to, with just 2.5 minutes to go, it's still a 5-point game.
We had a chance, and Brian made a bad mistake there. It was a 5-point lead, and Owens took about a 12-foot turnaround jump shot, which I'd take my chances all the time, and Brian fouled him, and which is no-no, and Owens is a 47% free throw shooter. He goes up and hits one of them, and then Mim tips it back in. I thought that was really the thing that broke her back. Kind
of the final turn around right there, because that was a 3-point swing. As I said, Owens' free throw only made it 6.
We get down 13 points, but I'll tell you what, our guys competed. Look at that play by Desmond. That's a great play, great hustle play. And there was a stretch right here. Watch this. He runs through a pass. He gets bumped 2 or 3 times, but still gets down there. He has remarkable control over his body, and he hits the layup, and he hits the free throw. And here we go again. He hits another one. And all of a sudden, we got the momentum going in our favor, and it's 48-44 with 10 minutes left to go in the ball game. Nice shot by Mim.
I guess the only area in the second half that certainly you didn't want to see, and here's that big miss and a putback by Mim, was the fact that Montonati was kind of kept in tow the first half, but he got inside the paint too many times to create problems for us defensively.
Well, he's a big, strong player, and I thought he was the one that really broke the game and just made it so tough on us. Defensively, they did a good job on us. Our shot selection wasn't as good as it had been, but overall, Texas in that situation probably is going to win more times than we can win. And the thing I told our team after the ball game, that's a game that's gone. I think we won 6 in a row going into that game. Let's win 5 in a row and win out. And we got a tough road. We got Nebraska coming up, and then Missouri and Iowa State next week. So.
Yeah, no question. It doesn't get a whole lot easier. As promised, we talked to you. We're going to talk with Desmond Mason, go one-on-one with Desmond. That's all coming up next. You stay with us.
First person ever in my whole family to go to college, and I'm going to graduate, and I have a chance to play in the NBA. So I mean, it's something special. And the main thing was just to make my parents proud of me. I mean, that's why I put so much pressure on myself, because I want them to be proud of me and be proud of what I've done. And my dad tells me all the time, I'm proud of you regardless. But I want to make it and do what I told him I was going to do.
Too often athletes in general, student athletes in particular, become synonymous with stats. The human side gets clouded or lost in all the numbers. In reality, they are just like the rest of us, fighting day-to-day battles, clearing one hurdle after another. And this week, we take you behind all the headlines and spectacular dunks and show you a side of Desmond Mason few people outside the Cowboy basketball family have ever seen. Now sit back and relax as we go one-on-one with the young man from the Hatch. Desmond, it's obvious since day one, 4 years ago when you first arrived in Stillwater, you've grown up as a person on and off the court.
Yeah, I mean, it was a rough transition coming from high school, coming from, where I come from, and the basketball transition was hard, and the community is a little different than Waxahachie, but it's been fun, and I've grown a lot, and I've learned a lot. I've become a better basketball player, a better person. I mean, it's been fun for 4 years, and I wouldn't take any of it back. Yeah, I had a bad attitude, and it was a lot worse in high school. Once I got here, it was just kind of a transition thing. I think every freshman probably goes through it, just getting frustrated and learning a new offense and playing against veteran guys, and it's changed a lot. I mean, I wouldn't take any of that back either, because it's helped me grow. I mean, just falling on my butt and learning the hard way, it's helped me grow a lot, and now have a better attitude and a better look on life as a basketball player, as a person, and like I said, I wouldn't change any of it. A lot of people say me and my dad are alike, and he had a really bad attitude, and that's what stopped him from playing basketball. He had an incident where, a guy just kept bumping him and fouling him, and it was getting to him, and it was getting in his head, and I mean, just right in the middle of the game, he knocked him out, center court, and he hadn't played basketball since, but my attitude never got that bad, but I think now it's not an attitude, it's being a competitor. I always want to win. I hate to lose. I hate to not do well. That's why I put so much pressure on myself.
Most of us can sympathize with this. You can point to one person that you kind of butt heads with. They discipline you. They find a way to get you in the fold, headed you in the right direction. And that's kind of the way you and Eddie have been since you've been here. It's been his way. It's been tough for you to come around to his way sometimes, but right now you can look back and see his discipline got you where you needed to be.
It was just like my dad all over again. I mean, he left me for 2 years, got into some trouble, and he had to go to jail for 2 years, and left me out on the streets. And I was more of a father figure to my brother and my little sister, and trying to help my mom, and she was so stressed, and she wasn't making enough money to provide for us and all the things that we needed. So, I was just kind of wild. I was out in the streets, 13 years old, out to 6 in the morning, and hanging out all night long. And then he comes back into my life and he tries to tell me what to do. And at that age, you don't take that very well. He's like, well, it's my way, and this is what you're gonna have to do. And then he's gonna try to ground me and tell me I have to stay at home. Same thing with coach. I mean, I come from a system where my high school coach, I had to touch the ball just about every play. We can sit and compromise. If I felt somebody wasn't playing well, I would let him know, and he would talk to them or something like that. And then I come into Coach Sutton's system, and it's his way or no way. The same thing all over again. But I learned from my dad, and everything he put me through when he got back, it helped me and just made my life a lot better. And Coach Sutton done the same thing. Everything he put me through for 4 years, it's made me a better basketball player.
What was it like living in the Hatch?
It was rough. I mean, I say, well, I'm from Waxahachie, Texas. Nobody really hears about it, or nobody really knows of it, or anything like that. But there was a time there that Waxahachie was the 3rd murder capital of the world. Out there, and I saw a lot of that stuff. 92, 93. I saw a lot of friends die. I saw a lot of drugs. I saw a lot of money. It was hard. That's the times that my dad was gone, and even when he was around, I saw what he done. I used to ride with him to Dallas, and when he done all this dealing and all kinds of stuff like that. But it was rough growing up. Not having clothes, and not having clean clothes, and not having money, not having things to do. It was hard for a person my age, and then having my brother and sister at 9 and 6 or 7 to see something like that. It was hard on them, and I can still see how it affects them now, because my brother, he's a strong person, but he's not as strong, and I think it affected his life. Seeing something at a young age like that. I mean, he saw somebody die when he was 8 years old in a swimming pool, a public swimming pool. A lifeguard got shot. So it was hard and it affected him. But, you know, me, I just kind of looked past it and go, well, I done saw 3 or 4 of those. It's no big thing. But it was rough, though.
A scholarship, was this a way to get away from some of this?
That's what my daddy kept telling me. And you know, I had the feeling it. And me being in high school, I was just kind of, you know, at times I got the big head just because of all the hype and all of the letters and all that kind of stuff. And it was a way out, and it was a way to better myself in life. And my dad always, he wanted me to be a better person than he was. And you know, I'm the first person ever in my whole family to go to college. And I'm going to graduate. And, you know, I have a chance to play in the NBA, so, I mean, it's something special. And the main thing was just to make my parents proud of me. I mean, you know, that's why I put so much pressure on myself, because I want them to be proud of me and be proud of what I've done. And my dad tells me all the time, you know, I'm proud of you regardless. But, you know, I want to make it and do what I told him I was going to do. You know, I got a sheet that he told me to write out my goals when I was in high school, and I still got the same sheet. And the last one was NBA on the top, and graduate was right up under that. You know, and I'm going to graduate first, and then the NBA comes next. So,
great piece, Tom, and what a wonderful man Desmond is. And I think here's a great example of what student athletes, given the opportunity to come to college and get in a disciplined program, how we've been able to help him. And of course, he had to help himself, but his father really instilled in him some things that has allowed him to really grow and mature. And I think anyone that knows Desmond Mason has to be awfully proud of him.
Part 2 comes up next week. We'll be back to wrap it all up after this final timeout.
Bruce, good question. We're losing a lot of quality guards. We signed a couple in the fall. We got Victor Williams in the fold, and we're still recruiting guards. Saturday night, 6 o'clock, we play host to the Cornhuskers. It'll be great to be back in Gallagher-Iba.
Indeed it will, because we've got to go right back on the road next week for 2 more. That's all the time we have for this week's show. For Eddie Sutton, our entire crew here at Educational Television Services, Tom Dirato. Goodbye, everybody.
The Eddie Sutton